Elder Scrolls lore. The Elder Scrolls has an interesting lore. Well, so welcome back everyone. Yep, that is right. This was the kind of other quest I had mentioned in the Final Descent. Now, this one is not connected to the Final Descent at all. The only really thing that could lump them together is that you get the house in Raven Rock by completing these two and another unnamed quest, but this one actually ties into something else that I will eventually go through in the future. So, what's going on this time in Solstheim? Well, Raven Rock is kind of under attack. These beings called the Ashborn they keep causing trouble, and after helping this one captain of the Veteran Guard, it becomes obvious that these aren't a coincidence but are intentional. A letter sent by a man known as Fox Carius declares war upon Raven Rock. But to Captain Veloth, that shouldn't happen because dude's been dead for 200 years at this point, as the last time you see him was in Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, specifically the Bloodmoon DLC. So, actually about 400 years. I'm not too familiar with the lore pre-Skyrim, but yeah, this shouldn't have happened, but it is definitely something that has happened. So of course, the captain gives us the order to clear out Fort Frostmoth and kind of prevent this situation from getting worse. So Fort Frostmoth isn't really too much of a long way off from where we are, and really the only trouble that players can really have are just the abundance of Ashborn. They kind of, in my opinion, they kind of tank hits and are kind of a hassle to take out. But if you have a companion with you, they shouldn't really be too difficult. Of course, that leaves the main fort, and it's just a normal dungeon, just filled with Ashborn and some interesting new spiders. I guess this is a Solstheim version of these spiders. You know how Pokemon has Alolan or Galarian forms? It's probably what it is for spiders. Jokes aside, these are actually enemies from another dungeon, or a same kind of enemies from a dungeon called White Witch Barrow, which yes, I will eventually cover in a future video, but my focus is on this one. So of course, honestly, well, how does this dungeon end? Well, Fox Carius is in kind of one of the last rooms, and it is just a boss battle. You'll of course summon a few Ashborn, and I forgot how difficult this boss fight could be. I literally had to restart the dungeon because the dude killed me. And I'm playing on Apprentice mode. I cannot fathom how difficult the other difficulties could be. But yeah, dude is one tough cookie. So that's really the quest. It's kind of a short one, but there's something interesting that I want to put out there. You can find a journal from a mysterious person named Ildari. Now, that name could sound familiar for those who've done a specific quest for Neloth, but this person, they appear in another quest, I think called Old Friends, and it will be one I will eventually cover. But I didn't notice this until a year or two ago. I always thought it was interesting that the game kind of foreshadows a future antagonist in the DLC without really telling you much about them. So, that's really it. So, I guess for my thoughts and opinions on this one. Well, honestly, it's a pretty fun quest. It has always been one of my favorites, and this is actually one of the first quests I've ever done in a Dragonborn DLC. And it gives you a cool weapon called the Champion's Cudgel, which has like a 50% chance of inflicting like some status ailments. I don't know if it's like shock and like flame damage or like shock, flame, and ice damage, but it's definitely a cool weapon to have. And honestly, this was actually a neat little callback to one of the previous DLCs. I've never played the Bloodman DLC. In fact, I've really only put like 10 minutes into Morrowind, but from what I've heard, it seems pretty good. So, had I played Morrowind back when it was released, I would have been extremely excited to have seen this quest be in this game. Definitely do recommend this one. If you haven't played it, I definitely do recommend going for that one, but do be prepared like I wasn't. But as for now, well, that's really it. So, goodbye, and thank you for giving this one a watch. See you all next time.